It's 3 a.m. in Kentucky. The highway is a ribbon of black glass, the neon sign of a 24-hour wing joint pulsing like a heartbeat. A hush lies over the parking lot. Just crickets, a flicker of moths, and the low hum of refrigeration units keeping 1,000 wings at the perfect pre-fry chill. Then the night sky unfolds. A dreadnought the size of shopping mall glides down behind the trees. Its belly doors iris open. A spearhead shuttle descends, quiet and mean, thrusters whispering. It settles between the yellow lines like a giant chrome beetle, trying to park politely. Inside the cockpit, helmets click, tactical HUDs glow, and an invasion force readies its first step onto a hostile world. A commander lifts a gauntlet hand. Begin planetary conquest, Forlac says in a voice like sandpaper dragged across a cathedral floor after this snack. His second-in-command whips around. Commander, Forlac taps a radar ping that blinks over a tiny human structure labeled by some ancient satellite database, Buffalo Wings, open 24/7. The scanner found a Terran resource node still active at this cycle, he intones. Efficiency dictates harvesting available calories. If their morale center remains illuminated at 3 nonsensical human hours, we must investigate. You want to eat first. Invade hungry, invade twice, Forlac replies, which, on his world, is a proverb, though it normally involves molten beetle stew and not poultry. The shuttle doors hiss. 7 armored Zargul troopers clomp down the ramp. The automatic door of the wing joint slides, open with a polite ding. Behind the counter, Shelley, the night shift monarch, badge crooked, hair in a bun that has seen things, does not flinch. She's doing the late shift because Kevin called in philosophical. The grill sizzles. The fryer pops. Sit anywhere, she says in a tone that could sandwood. The Zargul choose table 7. The plastic menus squeak under their claws. A busboy, CJ, stares, blinks, and just keeps rolling silverware. He has student loans. He cannot afford to process this. Forlac peers at the laminated menu. What is a wing, and why is it described as boneless? That is simply meat. That's nuggets, says Shelley, materializing at the table with a coffee pot like a chalice of fate. Wings have bones, honey. What heat? Heat, says the communications officer. Sauce heat, Shelley says, tapping the menu. Mild, medium, hot, insanity, and day morning regret. That last one's new. Says do not operate heavy machinery after eating. The Zargul exchange glances. We operate dreadnoughts, murmurs someone impressed. Forlac straightens. 1 order of DA morning regret. Family size. Dry rub on half, wet sauce on half. Extra ranch. Ranch, the medic echoes. Trust me, Shelley says, scribbling. You want ranch. She glides away. CJ wheels past with a tub of ice. He and Shelley share the micro-expression of humans in crisis. We are not paid enough, and yet this is somehow our purpose. In the kitchen, fryer baskets plunge. Oil roars like surf. A timer dings. Wings tumble, steam rising, tossed through a blizzard of spices and a lava fall of sauce, so red it has its own weather. Blue cheese crumbles get summoned from their northern homeland. Carrots and celery, token diplomats, stand to the side like peacekeepers with no power. Shelley returns with a platter large enough to eclipse a moon. It lands on table 7 with a thump that shakes the glasses. The wings glisten. The aroma rolls over the Zargul like a warm meteor shower. Chili, vinegar, garlic, pepper, a hint of doom. Forlac chooses the nearest specimen. He inspects the bone, the lacquered skin. He nods to his squad. For Empire, they chorus. They bite. For a heartbeat, nothing. Then the world inverts. On the orbiting Zargul mothership, 100 monitoring stations bloom alarms. Vital signs surge. Biotelemetry graphs draw mountains where there have been plains. AI medlog 3:11 a.m. Ground team neural temperature pattern accelerating. Annotation. Cognitive centers entering party mode. Down on Earth, Table 7 becomes a revival tent hosted by a volcano. The flames are inside me, howls the comms officer, eyes glassing over with holy light. The medic clutches his mandibles. My cranial coolant is boiling? Is that permitted? A third trooper has frozen mid-chew, posture perfect, gaze fixed at a point beyond all stars, a statue carved by a chef. His HUD scrolls nonsense, recalculating. RE, and then nothing. The HUD is busy singing Free Bird. Forlac experiences a full memory cascade. He remembers his first molt. He remembers failing his flute exam. He remembers, with painful clarity, the face of a girl who called him sauce-sensitive in military school. He then remembers every sin he has ever committed because his brain has decided to inventory all available data before bursting into confetti. Shelley places a bowl of ranch on the table. Dip, she says, like a priest offering absolution. Forlac dips. He tastes cold, creamy salvation. For 6 seconds, he knows peace. Then his squadmate coughs, and a puff of steam emerges from a seam in his helmet. Is that smoke? The medic wheezes. Steam, Shelley says, topping his water. You're fine, sugar. The first 10 bites are the real climb. After that, you see God and plateau. The comms officer hiccups, hic, and a tiny ember flutters out. CJ, passing by with a tray, uses a napkin to snuff it like a candle. No open flames, guys, he says pragmatically. Oil hazard. At the bar, a man in a trucker cap murmurs, I'll be. Space fellers found religion. He raises his phone. The internet opens one eye and smiles. On the mothership, panic tap dances on consoles. Report, barks the ship's tactical AI. A junior data tech gestures at screens awash in red. Sir, ground team is chanting. Telemetry shows overlapping signals. Pain, pleasure, fear, joy, 5 kinds of nostalgia, and 3 brand new emotions. One's called, translated, barn wedding. Deploy med drones. Already sent. Med drones are now crying. Crying empathetically. They say the sauce has earned their respect. The tactical AI flicks through feeds, settling on a close-up of Forlac, who, between ragged breaths, lifts another wing with the courage of an ancient hero. He's going back in, whispers someone. He's rebuking mortality. Shelley plants more napkins on table 7. You boys hitting a second round? We got a wall for that. She points toward a corkboard labeled hottest of the hot. 3 a.m. club. Polaroids of red-faced humans, eyes bright with triumph, grin among smeared fingerprints of sauce. Forlac's pupils dilate to dinner plates. He points at the wall with trembling dignity. Put me there. Shelley's lip twitches, which in Shelley is the same as weeping hysterically. Finish the platter, and I'll give you a t-shirt. The medic is curled around a carrot stick like it's a life preserver. I see the future, he whispers. It tastes like citrus and annihilation. Yeah, that's lemon pepper, CJ offers helpfully. The comms officer's translator misfires, producing random human phrases as his neural pathways spark like Christmas lights. Bring milk, it bellows suddenly, then taxes are due, then ominously you up. CJ fetches milk. Shelley refills waters with the steady hands of a lighthouse keeper. Out in the parking lot, more shuttles arrive. Zargul Marines shuffle into the restaurant, helmets under arms, drawn by smell and peer pressure. At the door, there's a little handwritten sign. We reserve the right to refuse service to. It ends there because the person writing it ran out of pen. Shelley flips it over, revealing special. Buy 10, get 10. She nods. The universe agrees. By 3:17 a.m., the internet has opinions. At Blesser Ranch, are those actual aliens crying in an actual ranch? Hashtag, they couldn't handle the heat. At Sauce-Archivist, this is humanity's greatest weapon, and it was hiding at exit 42 all along. At KY Night Shift, I told you the morning regret wasn't for tourists. News vans begin to slink out of the darkness like nocturnal cats smelling a story. A drone buzzes up to the window, peeks in, and peeks out again as if it saw something private. On ship, the executive council convenes in the crisis dome. Explain, demands High Director Cell. The tactical AI switches to a slide deck it prepared in self-defense. Slide 1, a wing. Slide 2, the Scoville scale. Slide 3, a chart labeled humans, pain, and the concept of fun. Slide 4. Forlac eating another wing and reaching enlightenment, briefly hovering 2 inches off his chair, softly whispering, "I forgive you, flute teacher." Is this chemical warfare? Cell asks. Technically a condiment, says the AI. However, humans appear to weaponize it socially. They call it hot. They seek it out. Their bodies revolt, and they enjoy that. Cell stares. They enjoy it. Extensively. Then perhaps we should not invade them, Cell suggests in the tone of someone who has discovered a snake in her boot. If they cherish agony, they will greet war as a parade. A quiet falls over the dome, punctured only by the faint sound of a med drone off-screen whispering, "I love you, Shelley," because its empathy routine is broken now. Back at table 7, a hush. The final wing sits alone, an emperor in exile. Forlac regards it with the respect given to rival kings. He lifts it, dips it, and bites. The restaurant waits. His armor vents sigh. His HUD goes black, then blossoms into fireworks. He sees the Crab Nebula dancing in a little cowboy hat. He hears his mother call him by his childhood nickname, which he will not repeat to anyone, ever. He thinks about empire and emptiness and late nights in mess halls, and how all conquest is, at its core, someone trying to fill a void. He tastes vinegar and heat and a small portion of grace. He places the bone down neatly. "Shelley," he says, voice sanded but steady, "I have walked 9 worlds. I have eaten the stone bird of Nerit, the sunfish of Gath. None have equaled this." Shelley pours him more water, eyes soft now. "That'll be $27.99. He fumbles with a translation slab, pays, and signs the merchant copy Forlac with a careful flourish. She pins a Polaroid of him on the 3 a.m. wall, helmet off, mandibles oddly shy, sauce on his chin like war paint. "Next time," she says, "try the lemon pepper first. Work up." He nods, chastened. "It is possible," he says slowly, like learning a new language, "that we invaded in the wrong order. The withdrawal is not dignified." Shuttles groan into the sky, trailing the smell of garlic and fear. The mothership turns, wobbles, and nearly sideswipes the moon. The invasion timetable shifts itself into a folder labeled later and then never. On live feeds, the world watches aliens hold their mouths open in front of air vents. A translator on Channel 8 states, "We do not wish to engage with a species whose appetizers can assassinate a platoon." Kentucky wakes up to a new local legend. The night an army came for blood and left with a to-go box. Shelley finishes her shift at sunrise. She counts the drawer, replaces the coffee filter, and writes a note for the day manager. Aliens 4 stars, tipped 18%. She clocks out and steps into the golden morning. A news drone catches her smile. For a second, humanity looks exactly like a hand on a shoulder, a glass of cold milk, and a plate slid across a counter without judgment. The Zargul Council meets in emergency session 2 days later, lips still tinged pink. On the docket, the Buffalo Wing incident. A junior clerk has tried to call it Battle of Sector Kentucky, but every time he says it, someone burps fire and the minutes go blank. High Director Cell opens proceedings with the gravity of a judge declaring the ocean illegal. "We underestimated humanity," she says. "We thought their weapons were missiles and lasers. We were wrong. Their weapon is the ability to look at pain, set it on fire, and ask for seconds." The tactical AI clears its throat, which is a weird sound for an AI, but everyone allows it. Recommendation: enforce a zone of condiment non-interaction. Avoid all-Terran mealtimes. Classify Scoville Level 1, 000+, as Omega flavor, prohibited to Zargul physiology. Seconded, says the medic general, who is still drinking milk. Also, ban dairy shortages. We nearly ran out. Further, says Cell, post advisories on all border beacons. She reads from a proclamation, the ink fresh. Warning: the planet labeled Earth contains beings who romance the abyss using sauces. Do not take their mild at face value. Mild is a lie. There's a pause. Vote, Cell asks. All hands raise. The motion passes unanimously. The Buffalo Wing becomes a matter of state. If it had ended there, history would have tucked the episode into its lighter footnotes. but the universe is built to leak. Stories seep out of the Zargul Empire like steam from an ill-sealed lid. Troopers whisper about the burn that hugged back. Pilots trade tales of a flavor that rearranged the furniture of their souls. Engineers try to reverse-engineer the experience using simulation, and fail. The simulation always turns into a small god and demands a tip. Where there is prohibition, there is pilgrimage. It starts with a single smuggler, a being in a patched cloak with the eyes of a raccoon that has found the trash. He arrives at a human diner at 2:59 and orders whatever broke the bugman. He records himself weeping gently into carrots. He uploads his confession. It circulates. Soon there are ships limping to Earth with ice chests and hopes, docking at sleepy Midwest towns with the reverence of monks. They come in robes, in chrome suits, in borrowed denim jackets. They come for the wing. Earth, to its enduring credit, responds with capitalism shaped like kindness. Franchises bloom. Planet Defenders Barbecue, Sauce and Sovereignty, Inferno Joe's, Taste the Pain. Kits ship across the void with warnings longer than their recipes. Do not touch your face. Do not touch your friends' faces. Do not touch your soul. There are classes. How Not to Die, Level 1. There are T-shirts. I survived the morning regret, and all I got was perspective. Tourists kneel in parking lots to pose with Shelley's Polaroid wall, which has grown into a shrine. Someone knits her a scarf that says Ranch was right. CJ gets a scholarship sponsored by an interstellar condiment consortium. The trucker with the cap signs autographs on napkins and announces he's starting a podcast about sauce. A treaty emerges not from embassies but from a deli counter, the Wing Accord. Clause 1. No invasions during happy hour. Clause 2. Humans will explain Scoville honestly. Clause 3. Bring your own milk. Forlack returns 6 months later, out of uniform. He stands in the doorway of the wing joint, now expanded, with a mural of a starship wrapped by a flaming chicken. He wears civilian clothes that fit like an apology. He holds flowers, because Earth taught him that you bring something when you come back from hurting someone. Shelley looks up from the register and smiles like nothing about this surprises her. Table 7, she says. It's still yours. He sits, orders lemon pepper, and eats slowly. He tastes restraint. He tastes starting over. He tastes something like respect. When the plate is done, he clears his throat. Shelley, he says, I brought my people. I wish for them to experience your world without casualties. She nods at the cluster of shy aliens peeking around the door, each clutching a coupon. We'll start the mild, she says. No heroes tonight. He hesitates. And perhaps, he adds, later, one of those shirts. I'll save you a large. He reaches for his wallet, then stops. Is it true, he asks, that this place once briefly considered refusing service to us? Shelley glances at the old sign, framed on the wall, now like museum art. She shakes her head. We don't refuse the hungry. We just pace you. Forlack inhales, and, for the first time since the night he mistook comfort for conquest, his shoulders drop. Then, he says, let us pace. At the next Galactic Council session, a new pilot program is announced, Culinary Exchange Ambassadors. The handout has a glossy photo of a human holding up a sauce bottle like a torch. The tagline reads, We cooked. We didn't die. That's diplomacy. There are still armadas in the universe. There are still cold borders and hot tempers and ambitious fools. But in dozens of systems, a small detour appears on invasion protocols. If landing between midnight and 5 o'clock local, check for wing joints. If lit, pause. Eat. Learn. Some missions are canceled there. Others are rewritten. A few still fall apart in clouds of capsaicin and laughter. Empires change slowly. People change an ounce at a time. On Earth, the wall of Polaroids stretches into a mosaic of species and smiles, mandibles and molars, tiny antennae dotted with sauce. Under the corkboard, a plaque. Humanity, we didn't fight them. We fed them. P.S. Tip your server. And somewhere in the star-cluttered dark, a new proverb circulates among captains and cooks, invaders and interns. Invade hungry, invade twice. Invade humble, You might get invited back for seconds. If you listen hard enough, over the hiss of oil and the clink of plates, you can hear a commander's voice, softened by ranch and time, whispering into some ship's black box. Begin planetary conquest after this snack. Then, quieter still, with a laugh that makes him sound almost human. Or maybe after breakfast,